Good morning. Thank you for joining this session on dating and relationships. Hope you've had a great week. So just kind of talking about my book and just a few things regarding relationships and the reality of being in a relationship. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get started, and we can have this live session posted up later in the week for people to catch up on. So exciting news. I announced my book this week. I revealed my book cover, and the love is massive. I appreciate it. I appreciate everyone's wonderful comment and well wishes towards this upcoming book, Finding Your God-Given Partner. That's the title of the book to come. This is my passion project. This is really from the depth of my heart. A lot of inspiration from God, and things that I believe can be very useful in the life of many people. So I'm excited that this book's coming out. Been creating buzz around it for the last few weeks now, since last month, and I am just elated that the book's gonna be out very soon in the hands of people. My hope and desire is that everyone who gets this book in their hands get insight into the world of relationships, and even challenge their own thoughts and beliefs and things that are limiting them from, connecting with the best person for their lives, or even challenge them to look at some of the challenges they've encountered in past relationships, so they can learn how to make the future better, and prepare for their own God-given partner. I believe that there are plans that God has for everybody, and He knows just what we need. He knows just the right person for us. And if we are doing our own work and doing our part without struggling, without going with selfish desires, without following any societal demands, but really, really resting and believing that we deserve the best, and we can get exactly what God has in plan for us. I believe that is totally possible. With many things that people encounter these days in the sphere of dating and even relationships that then go into marriage, it's important that we have this conversation, and that's where this book has come from life lessons, from struggles that have been observed and experienced. That's where that book has come from. So it is coming up in November. I have this book set up to come out in November. The book launch is going to be on November 19th. It's scheduled for November 19th. And that will be from 3 to 5 p.m. here in Indianapolis. So for people who are in town or desire to be there and just to come solely for this, you're welcome to. Just to be part of that day. You get to be one of the first set of people to get a copy of the book in hand. So it will be a delight of my heart to have you in person at the event. And if you would like to be part of it, but you don't live in the area, you can DM me and let me know that you'd like to experience or be part of that day, and we will make arrangements for that. So just stay tuned to register for the book. It will be, I would direct you to visit funkeoladele.com. funkeoladele.com, www.funkeoladele.com. I would probably have that on my link in bio after this meeting, so you can register for the event, and we are going to be passing information to you regarding it, and just hope you plan towards that day with us. So in today's session, we're just basically talking about the book, talking about the book launch, and encouraging you to register and plan to be part of it. So last week we talked about challenging belief systems that affect relationships and marriages, and looking inwardly, looking at your own experiences, looking at the things that have formed your thoughts, your expectations, and what you're looking for in a potential partner and somebody that you can be with, or the person that you would like to be with for the rest of your lives, and how you want to relate with them, and the kind of life you desire or the kind of relationship you desire to build with a person. We have to put a lot of work into these things, but sometimes we are wanting to figure it out as we go. Yes, life itself is a place where we're trying to figure it out as we go. However, having some preparatory mindset, and expectation, or things that we desire, things that drive us, things that form our beliefs, and things that inform the decisions we make. They need to be in place to guide us towards making the proper decisions, or towards knowing what our expectations are and what we want to get out of this relationships with the people we meet. So I think in the past few weeks we've really talked about what to do prior to meeting with the person, making sure you're having all of your ducks in a row, making sure you're having the right mindset, making sure you know who you're looking for, making sure you know, having things that are your no-nos, your prerequisites, your what you're looking for. But how about after you found the person? What's next, right? And when I say found the person, not exactly that this is the person you marry, but somebody that can potentially be that person you would eventually marry. After you meet them, what's next, right? How do you build? How do you go forward from there? And I think it's important that we are aware of the realities of being in a relationship. The reality from the point that you and a person desire and agree to move forward in a relationship, to say, I think there's something great here. We're connecting well. I would like to build a relationship with you and hope to get married to you someday. Funny enough, and interestingly enough, there are people after dating for a few weeks that they are able to determine that I believe that you're God's plan for my life, and I will, would like to work towards marriage, and they solidify it right at that point in time. And you might even find that some people within 3 months they're married, within 6 months, within a year they're married, because they believe, they've prayed, they've gotten the sign, and they believe that this is God's plan for their lives. Things like that have happened, and people are doing well. And I think even before our generation, I think that's typically how some older people have met, and their marriages have lasted for years. And there are people even here in this generation, it's just not as predominant now, I think, as it used to be. But even here in this generation, there are people that within 6 months, 3 months, within a year, they already plan that, hey, we're gonna get married, or we believe that this is God's plan. For me, within a year I was married. So I believe it's possible. However, there are people, depending on what stage of life they're in, they might decide that after meeting, hey, we know we would like to be together, but they need to take their time to plan, and see, and work towards it. And really, that's where you should be. You should try as much as possible that whoever you decide to be with, that you guys have a goal. Have a goal. That would be one thing I would encourage right from the start. Have a goal from the beginning. Once you agree that, hey, we like each other, we would like to be with each other, Don't just be with each other for being with each other's sake. If you're friends, decide that you're going to be friends and stay friends. Friends without extra benefits. You can't be friends with benefits. That's nothing. If you want to be friends, be friends. Define your boundaries. You're not in love with each other. You're not trying to date. You're not trying to, look for anything else. Define it. And if you know that, hey, we're more than friends, we love each other, we would like to, marry someday, but we don't know when, definitely, let's just work towards it. You have a goal that you would like to get married someday. And if you are meeting somebody and you decide that, you know, yes, we hope to get married, but we're going to take our time because there has to be a because. But if you are already like set up, you have a job, you have your own life, you're two independent individuals are mature enough and they're hoping to get married, you need to determine your timeline and work towards to say, hey, we're hoping that, sometime soon that we're able to get married. So that way, you're preparing. But if it's more of, let's see where this goes, and it's not definitive, it's not like you don't know where you're going, the relationship itself is not defined. Are we dating? Are we boyfriend, girlfriend? And what does that mean for us? It helps you to have a place you're going to, and then it helps you to work towards that goal you're setting. So when you're getting to meet each other, and know each other, you're still trying to know that, of course, it's good to take time. Don't just meet somebody and just feel like, oh yeah, we love each other and want to go. Get that conviction and work towards it together. And it doesn't mean that because you guys agree that you're still going to end up being together. Unfortunately, people meet each other and they don't end up being together for the rest of their lives, or they don't end up getting married even though that was their goal initially. And that's where we want to talk about the reality of being in a relationship. Nothing is over until it's over. Nothing is said until it's really said. And over time, time will just tell, where it goes, as you continue to pray. But if you get your proper conviction from the beginning and you believe like this is God's plan for you, God's plan never changes. God's plan stays consistent. If God talks to you and you believe it's God, it's not going to change down the line. It's not going to just, poof off and it will be something different later. So that's where we need to understand how we hear God and how God directs us. So eventually, for people who are not always sure right from the onset that, hey, maybe this is the person, they want to pray a little bit more, do whatever you want to do it while you're getting to know that person. Go back every time and try to make sure you're observant, to make sure that you're gathering your information about this person. Make sure that you all are talking about each other's goals. Make sure you're learning more about each other. Make sure that you are also, building your own individuality, even though you are trying to work with somebody else that you can spend the rest of your life with, potentially. Your life is not on hold. Your life is not on a pause in that time period. You just have someone else in your life that you're creating a space for, but not to dominate your space, because really they're not your wife, they're not your husband yet. They are just somebody that you can potentially be with. So you want to make sure that you are not just opening your entire space and then you feel like you already found a husband and a wife, especially if you guys don't have a goal yet. So you want to make sure you're talking about what those things are. Support each other's vision. Think about where you're going. Think about how you want to get there. If you're both in school, support each other. You're thinking about, hey, this is the person that I think I would like to be with. Do you really have their interest at heart? Are you really interested in what they're interested in? If you're both in school, what are your majors? Maybe you're in different department. That's totally fine. Are you guys planning studying time together? If you're both working, do you understand each other's schedules? Are you respectful of each other's space? Are you still building your individuality in the process, so that you're not just like trying to shove yourself into each other's space without respect. You start planning together. Really, you start planning together and working towards that future you desire. Really, I keep emphasizing it, and I emphasize this in my book. Your relationship morphs into the marriage you desire. So it's not about, hey, we want to see where we're going, and then when we're married, we'll know we're there. No, you start creating your potential marriage from the man, from the relationship you're building prior to marriage. You start knowing how you're relating with each other. The way you relate with each other while you're dating is the way you're going to be relating with each other when you're married. It might just be a little bit worse, especially for people who pretend to be who they're not. It would just kind of like be a little bit more relaxed when you're married, and if you're still trying to be all like, I don't want to let it all out, I don't want them to know me all the way and all of that. But you want to be sure that whatever you're building while you are in a relationship is mirroring the marriage you're desiring. And that's where you need to be observant. That's where we talked about red flags. You're in a relationship with a person, you need to start thinking about, yes, mirroring the marriage. Is this the life you want? I was one in a relationship where at a point in time I would ask myself, is this the life I ordered? Like, this is not the life I ordered. Just because I was asking that question, I think there was already an answer in it. There was an answer in that question. Is this the life I ordered? I actually wrote it somewhere. And I can remember vividly asking that question just because I asked it. And I think that was an answer to my question, that even if it was the life you ordered, if it was the life that you desired, you wouldn't even have that kind of question in mind. So pay attention to your mind, to your thought process when you're in a relationship. Pay attention to your emotions. Pay attention to how you feel. Pay attention to what you observe. If you observe something, don't throw it away. That's your instincts telling you something, whether good or bad. If it makes you feel good, yeah, check it. If it doesn't, you need to check what happened here. How did I contribute to it? How did that person contribute to it? Is this left to chance, or are they intentional? You need to think about the intention behind the action. And let's not just make excuses for people. We need to know, we need to be aware of the things we're permitting in our lives. Whatever you permit is what you are telling somebody, is what you're telling people how to treat you. So be aware of what you are allowing to happen to you. If someone always yells at you while you're dating, tell me that that person is not someday going to get in your face and almost want to hit you. And even as they get closer and they hold themselves back because you've allowed them to yell at you for so long, by the time they test you a little bit more and they get a little bit more angry, they're going to get in your face and open their eyeballs so wide at you. And you might get scared or feel like, oh my God, you just came into my space. Back up. And that's where you need to open your mouth and tell people, no, I will not accept this. There's nothing wrong with it. I mentioned last week, nobody is doing you a favor by marrying you for a woman. And a guy, you're not the savior of that woman. So no. Nobody's doing anybody else favor. We're just trying to determine that we can spend life together. Even in marriage, nobody owns anybody. Nobody, you don't own me, I don't own you. We just met here on the earth and we decided that we want to take a journey together. We want to do this life together. You got your life to live. I got my life to live. If I leave today, you're still going to continue your life. If someone else is gone today, you're still going to continue your life. Is that understood? Like right now and here, whether you're single or you're married, nobody truly owns you. Your creator owns you. And so your life shouldn't be determined or trying to be held down by anybody or trying to be caged or restricted by anyone that feels like, hey, I own you and I can do whatever I want to you. No, nobody can do whatever they want to you. You need to determine what you allow people to do to you. It's your wife or your husband or your boyfriend or your girlfriend. No, they do not own you. And that's where we talk about your wholesomeness before you get married. So let's get that clear. Set your own rules. Set your boundaries. While you're dating, no, you will not raise your voice at me. Be as calm as possible. Put your foot down. If you're already allowing somebody to yell at you right now, don't be surprised. Yes, sometimes we get upset. Yeah, my voice might go up sometimes too. My husband's voice might go up sometimes too. But we understand that, hey, when this is out of control, we have to calm down, and we're going to make sure we're having a civil conversation, and we're going to make sure, yeah, we might, people, depending on the situation, you might go off on each other, but you understand that even in your argument, there's still respect. And you should know when people are crossing the line with you. You should know when people are starting to attack your person. You should know when people are starting to put you down and really place you below to start beating you. Before some people start beating people up physically, they've already started beating them up emotionally. So I'm talking about the realities of relationships today, the realities of a relationship, and really determining what you want. I've mentioned that the relationship you have mirrors the marriage that you would desire eventually. So don't feel like, hey, we're just building right now, and then when we get into marriage, we would create the life we want. No, your relationship with the person right now mirrors what you will have eventually, and then when you get into marriage, it magnifies what you have. So if what you have right now is a frictional relationship or toxic relationship, it's going to be double toxic when you get married. If you have a frictional relationship where everything, you cannot get out a sentence without arguing, you're going to be yelling at each other every time, you're going to be always fighting when you eventually marry. It's just like math. You can't, there's no two ways around math, right? So let's start looking at those things. Yeah, some things change out of control, but you can still determine, you can still learn certain things about a person, a lot of things about a person while you're dating. So while you're dating, get to know each other. Try to determine what you want for each other. Talk about what you can accept and what you cannot accept. I think a lot of people hold back on those things because they fear that if I let them know what I want and what I like and what I dislike, they might want to leave me or whatever. And then you start allowing a lot of things that you don't really like in your life while you're dating. And then when you're eventually married, you feel stuck because you've allowed it for so long that you can't talk about it anymore. And your partner might start feeling like, hey, but this used to happen when we were dating. You didn't complain about it. Why are you talking about it now? So if you don't like the way they do things while you're dating, say, hey, I don't really feel good about that. That doesn't make me feel good. Or do check-ins every now and then. Don't just keep having fun. Eat every day you go out to eat. Every day you go out to watch movie. Every day you want to have fun. You've had fun your entire relationship. You've forgotten to build relationship. So if your relationship is only about eating, and then you're not building it, it's gonna be left off later because you have work to do. So relationship takes work. Love takes work. Marriage takes work. It's not even like your work that you go to, you do orientation for it, you do the work, you go back, they do training, you do assessment, they need to make sure you're doing well. It's the same exact thing and even more for relationship. I mean, this is somebody you want to raise kids with, for crying out loud. You can leave your employer at any time because you don't have babies for them, right? I mean, yeah, you just commit your time. They're paying you for that time. But this one, even though you're not committing, it's not like they're paying you for being in a relationship, but really you're giving a lot of yourself into a relationship. You're giving your time that is not compensated for, that they're not paying you for. You're giving your energy, you're giving your emotion, you're even giving, if you're giving your body, that's part of it. If you're giving your mental health, everything, you're even giving much more than you are giving to your work and everything else. So why are we not going to take it extra seriously? So we're talking about the realities of a relationship today. Open your eyes, shine your eyes. Love is not blind. Right here and now, open your eyes. Start looking at the relationship you want and ask questions. Be like a detective. Be like you're in an exam hall. You're taking your paper. You're observing. you are there. Maybe you're a participant taking the exam, right? You're a participant taking that exam, but you've already prepared. And that's where we've talked about preparation in the previous weeks. Preparation, preparing your mind, being whole, knowing what you want, knowing what you're looking for. And those help you when you're in the relationship to determine that, hey, I know what I want. What you're doing is not what it is not gelling with the person I am and my beliefs. So that's where you start looking at. And that's why I talked about earlier that the fact that you're with somebody doesn't mean that you would end up being that with that person eventually. So don't feel like you're there yet when you eventually get into that relationship. So start assessing and then sit down together and say, hey, what are our goals for this relationship? Once you determine that, hey, we're hoping to eventually get married. Okay, what's our timeline? If you're that serious, what's our timeline? Okay, what are we doing now? What are you doing? What am I doing? How can I support you? I think it's important that we start doing that. There are many people who are in relationships where their partners don't support what they do. And so eventually, even if you're fine with it initially, later you're not going to feel good if that person seems to not care about what you're doing. Even if you don't, even if what I do or what one person does is not exactly what the other person has interest in, but at least because you're with that person, you should take extra interest and see how you can help. You should be willing to see where you can be useful for that person, even if you guys don't have similar interests. And you don't have to have similar interests. You don't have to have like similar professions, similar things that you want to do. It doesn't have to be exactly like that. But willingness to learn and help and be there. I think that's really what it is for marriage, for relationships. So you would know the person is intentional about you, and that will make you feel good. So start paying attention to that. You would know a selfish person right from the back. Yeah, they might need to take time, and you too, you might realize some of your selfishness too. You're learning about yourself, I might say, because sometimes we're trying to observe other people in relationships, but we're not looking at ourselves. You're trying to really, take out someone else's speck, but you're not checking yourself. So you would also realize your own weaknesses when you're in a relationship. Can I say that? Can I say that? If you've been in a relationship before and that relationship broke off, have you taken the time to sit down to assess what happened here? How did I contribute to that? Because it's very easy to point fingers to say, oh, that person did this to me and why would they do that and whatever. What did you do? How have you contributed to it? How have you contributed to it? Ignorance. Some people are so ignorant. They don't know they're hurting people by being themselves. So that's where we need to look beyond ourselves in relationship. Learn to be with someone else. Learn to be intentional about their desires. And even sometimes when you're complaining about what you want, are you also trying to override someone else's feeling and discard someone else's feeling just because you want to get your point across, or just because you want them to do something for you? I have to realize some of those things about myself too and check it. And when you see it, please apologize. Normalize being apologetic. There are people in relationships just feel like I own you and you should do everything for me. Excuse me, sorry, I'm still getting over my cold. Is better today than the most of the days. Ladies, can we be honest? Because you feel like men need to pamper you, men need to make you feel good, men need to do all of this, attend to your emotional needs, and they need to make you sweep you off your feet. They need to kiss you when you feel better to make you feel better. They need to do this for you. They're not gods, they're human beings too. They're human beings too. Can we show them some love? Can you say sorry when you know that you were wrong? Can you just learn to say sorry? I'm sorry, I don't mean it that way. Even when you've lashed out and you feel like you've made your point known, but go back and say, yeah, I even if you feel like you honestly let it off. Like say, I'm sorry that it came out that way. I didn't mean it to come out that way, but this is what I meant. I'm sorry I hurt you with the way I said it. So even if you meant it, even if you meant certain things you said, but acknowledge that you've hurt the other person by the way you've brought it out. We need to start learning how to communicate. Lack of communication is one of the major reasons why marriages are breaking. You will hear people say reconcilable differences. Why can we not reconcile differences? Reconciliation starts with acknowledgement of wrong. Acknowledgement that you've done something that the other person does not like, or acknowledgement that there's a problem. But we cannot learn to live with each other. We cannot learn to resolve differences. We cannot learn to yield to one another. Yield. I say yield because a lot of things we talk about submission, and I think this will be a topic for another day. I think we have misused this meaning of submission because of experience too, because some people have made it to be a requirement to say you must submit to me, and that's where some people, and I talked about, nobody owns anybody, so nobody has the power to start controlling anyone in a relationship, whether you're a man or a woman. So that's where we start misusing this submission. But for two people, I would tell you that marriages that seem to be doing well, and you think you see submission, both of the couple, like both of the people in that marriage are submitting to one another. Submitting, yielding. If submitting is throwing you off, say yielding. Allowing, respecting each other. Allowing each other to be who you are and who you're created to be. Allowing each other to be able to express each other, giving room for one another, being considerate of one another. This whole submission that we're doing, we're looking at it on the surface and we're using it to fight each other and tear each other apart. There's nothing wrong with submission, but when we start misusing and misinterpreting it, it starts becoming a problem. So I think submission will be a topic for another day, not today. It's too loaded for today because I didn't expect that this will be taking longer. But I want you to know that the reality of the relationship you're building, you need to be intentional about it. Be intentional about every step of your journey. Don't leave it to chance. Every chance you leave it to, even if you make progress today and then the next few months you're resting and feeling like everything's fine, before you know it, things can spiral down. So be alert, be vigilant, take care of your relationship, nurse your relationship, talk. Maybe cultural things has made it hard for some people to express themselves in relationships. I would say that I think for some reason, maybe our culture, I don't know, maybe culture or nature of some people doesn't allow them to talk very well. But if there is lack of communication in a relationship, before long that the relationship might not last. And it is very true. Can two walk together unless they agree? If you do not communicate and learn to resolve issues before too long, it is going to crash. Talk. If you don't feel good, talk. If you feel good, talk. Say, you make me feel good. I love what you just did. Can you do it more? Don't expect that they're mind readers. You want somebody to hold you. Okay, that's in marriage now, right? Maybe you want them to ask how you're doing and care about what you're doing and care about and show a little bit more interest in your craft, in your work, and say, hey, I really feel like you're not paying enough attention to the things that I like. I feel like you tend to want me to contribute to your life more, but you don't want to do the same for me, rather than you judging. And I would tell you, it's possible that the other person is very ignorant and doesn't realize they're doing that to you. So I think for some reason, there might have been, depending on your background or your personality, you might not be used to talking. I'm a big communicator. I'm big on communicating. I can over communicate to my poor husband, sorry. But I think that's helping us because Even for him, it's helping us to learn to talk about certain things, more. So, not leaving anything to chance. I have a psychology background, and I realize that it is important that we air out things as much as possible. So don't be afraid. This person you're building with, if you're in a relationship, if they are the ones for you, don't be afraid to open up and talk about everything possible that you need to talk together to talk about to build your relationships, and learn to observe what you're doing. Like when you disperse some kind of energy or communication, see the response of that person and see if that makes you feel good, or if that's settling well with you, if that is something that you can live with for the rest of your life. So your communication, your relationship helps you to answer the question, is this really the marriage? It's like a confirmation. And if it doesn't confirm what you believe you desire for your life, don't take too long. Gather information. You're an information gatherer in a relationship, so you can use that to determine whether that is the person God has set for your life. So don't take too long. Learn to assess your relationship. And it's okay to break off. I want to say something. Some of us were from Africa. We, sometimes for ladies, they might say, or you cannot leave a person. If you need to leave a person, please break up that relationship. Break it up. Don't wait for anybody to come and break up stuff for you and feel like, and that's why I had to highlight that nobody is doing you a favor. Don't wait around for somebody to make you their wife. If they cannot see wife material from you from the beginning and they feel like I have to test you first, if you get the sense of I have to test you first, yes, both of you can determine, hey, let's see where we're going, but making it seem like, yes, I need to make sure you check everything rather than, hey, let's work together to see if we're going somewhere. You see what I mean? Mindset, intention. You need to learn to see how people are treating you so you can know the kind of person they are. A person that feel like, yo, sit down there, let me see how you're going to do. They're going to control you eventually. Okay? So some of our cultural things have permitted, in some cases have permitted some kind of subtle abuse and control issues that then eventually morph into bigger issues in marriage. So let's nip it in the bud when you are dating. When you're dating, determine what you are going to allow to happen to you. Determine what you're not going to accept. Talk about it. See, I cannot accept this. If this happens, and these are my no-nos. These are my, in a relationship. I talk to the person. I will not, if you don't like drinking, say, no, I'm not going to like to drink with you. Or I will not like to, have sex. Or I don't like to stay out late. Or no, I wouldn't like, whatever you wouldn't like. And what you like, talk about what you like and start working together. So let's normalize talking. Let's normalize calling out things as they are, and correcting each other so we can be better, rather than people find out certain things that, hey, you're not doing this well in maybe the way you talk, and then they pick it up and say, I don't want to be with you. Can we work together to be better people? And are we going to be able to live with each other based on that personality? And if you say no, if it's not what you want, it's okay to go and determine who you want. And that's where we need to make sure we're not just opening ourselves up and, excuse me, I need to drink water. We're not just opening ourselves up and feeling like you're letting someone else come to dominate your space in a way that you're not able to break off later. So you stay in control of yourself, your space, your life when you're in a relationship. It's not over till it's over. And even when you're in a relationship, even as much as you're submitting to each other, you still need to be a wholesome person through the journey. That you're taking care of you as much as you're working with somebody else to go forward. So that's what I'd like to talk about today, the reality of a relationship, being as real as possible, being observant, assessing, and determining what you allow, what you wouldn't allow, what you want, what you don't want, determining with the person and determining where you're going so you can have a goal. Talk about your goals and support each other towards it and check in to see how you're doing. We're not doing that enough, and we're leaving things to chance, and it's been affecting relationships. So if there's any question, I don't see any, please feel free to ask. I'm wrapping this up now. But I would like to say and express myself that I'm happy to have announced my book this past week. The book titled Finding Your God-Given Partner. So you've seen the book cover. Thank you so much for the show of love. Thank you for the messages. Thank you for the prayers. I appreciate it. It's just been encouraging. I appreciate it. So the book titled Finding Your God-Given Partner, written by me, inspired by God, and experiences and observations, is all put together, and we're hoping that it comes out, and we're planning to have it come out on November 19th. We're going to be having the launching event on November 19th. So for people who are in the area in Indianapolis, or you would like to be part of it, even if you're not here, please feel free, to join us. You can register at funkeoladele.com/books and register on that page, funkeoladele.com/books, and register for the event. Even if you're out of town, please feel free to register, and we would make arrangement for you to be part of it. But please plan to have a copy of this book. Sorry, I'm trying to type here so we can see the page. So feel free to register and be part of it. Share with people, share with friends that they should come join and be part of this book launch. And let's learn together. So next week, we're going to be having a guest. We're going to be having a couple join us. We're going to be having a couple join us. They're both pastors. They're going to be talking more about dating and relationship, and we're going to even talk to them about their own journey. So feel free to join and invite friends to be part of this. Yes, I see comments here. Communication is very important. We talked about that. And then respect is reciprocal. You cannot ask for respect when you're not giving it. And that's where people struggle with submission. Thank you so much for that comment. And if you want to catch up on previous episodes, what we've done so far, please visit the link in my bio. Go to my YouTube page, Funke Oladele Inspirational Network. You will find previous episodes there. Feel free to share with people and learn. Prepare for your best life possible. I want to end by letting you know that God has plans for you, and the right person for your life is already waiting for you. And you do not want to mess it up by yourself by choosing the wrong person. While God gives you your partner, you have to be willing to yield to Him. You have to allow Him to make it happen. I like the title of my book, Your God-Given Partner, and I use it interchangeably in my book as God-ordained, God-given, God-ordained. God has a plan, and He knows exactly what's good and fits into your space. So allow Him to wow you by submitting your will and your desire to Him, so He can make it, so He can make a masterpiece out of it. Thank you so much for your time today, and have a wonderful weekend, and hope to see you. If you'd like to learn more about my book launch or would like to get involved, please feel free to DM me. Join my launch team if you love to, and let's win together. Let's make it a day and a glorious day. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you. Have a great week.